in Chicago. He flew his lawyers to Chicago to depose me for mean tweets. He is not an ally to anyone but himself.
I don't think it changes hearts and minds in the House.
It is the literal target.
It is not a target. Everyone deserves health care.
Even illegals?
Every single person in the world deserves
Just for the record, as a candidate, you're for illegal aliens getting Medicaid.
I think everyone in the world deserves
That's a yes.
healthcare.
That's a yes.
Promised to us. It was promised to us, not us, me and you, black and white, brown. Scott, do you think that your family was born here? Commercial. What kind? What kind of immigration was I brought here?
You're already in the hole. You sure you don't want to stop digging?
Because it was slavery. That's not immigration.
Come on.
Well, okay.
Come on, what?
It was a good panel. I thought it had a really good conversation, and obviously from the clip that you saw, Scott Jennings is going to be Scott Jennings and say something ignorant as hell. But let's go ahead and get into this clip.
As the world's most powerful man and the world's richest duke it out on social media, MAGA is being forced to take sides, and the divorce isn't looking too pretty. Here's how lawmakers reacted today.
Right now, this tit for tat going back and forth isn't healthy. I tell you what, Elon, this is what I'll do. Come down to Texas 22nd District, right? I'll pay your filing fee and run against me.
I trust the math from the guy that lands rockets backwards over the politicians.
I'd go with Trump politically. The two biggest dogs in the pound. They're going to turn on each other eventually, and that's what's happened.
It's easy to be the parent that says, we're going to go to Disney World. It's hard to be the parent that says, yeah, but we can't afford it.
I think maybe they should count to 10.
Maybe they should count to 10, honestly. But it also seems that these Republicans, including those very ones there, many of them have a, billion-dollar check hanging over them, so to speak. Steve Bannon warned that this is what's going to happen if Elon really is out of the tent and out in the cold. Listen.
As sure as the turning of the earth, if those progressives rub up on him and say, hey, they're never going to buy the Teslas, we're going to buy the Teslas, they rub up on him, he'll write a $500 million check for Hakeem Jeffries. He'll be across the thing looking to impeach President Trump, looking to help steal the 28 election, looking to imprison President Trump.
Incidentally, Kat, this is why Bannon wants him deported.
So who couldn't have predicted this? Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they are at each other's throats. We already said this relationship was a relationship of convenience. Elon Musk was upset that the Biden administration didn't give him a phone call. So he was like, let me put my ducks in a row with Trump. And Trump doesn't really care about EVs. He doesn't care about making clean energy. None of that matters to him. Only thing that matters to Donald Trump at this point is that he gets this bill through, because this is literally everything he campaigned on. If he does not get this bill through this time, it's likely he won't ever get it through. One, because it's a bunch of poison pills for Republicans. They're going to have 11 million people lose health care. This is going to be children. This is going to be pregnant women. This is going to be parents with children who can't meet the work requirements. This is going to be disabled people. They're going to be taking money from Medicare as well. So Medicare and Medicaid both have parts of it that are on chopping block. Not to mention they're also going to have children starving because they're taking from SNAP, which is also going to affect farmers directly, because that entire program was literally a subsidy for farmers. So I am just the fly on the wall looking at it from, oh goodness, it's getting serious. And I can't say that I don't like it. This is what they two deserve. They deserve each other. They deserve this chaos. The only part about it that makes me extremely upset is the fact that there's a bunch of people in the middle that are going to lose benefit. But as you can see, this will not be the end of this. Steve Bannon touched on how Elon Musk is going to call for Trump to be impeached. And I don't know if he made this be prior to making that TV show or live or whatever that was. But yes, Elon Musk has already called for Donald Trump to be impeached and for J.D. Vance to replace him. But let's keep on watching, y'all.
Incidentally, Kat, this is why Bannon wants him deported, not just kicked out of the Republican Party. Bannon is like, get him out of the country.
He wants him deported?
He's worried about this.
Elon Musk is not an ally to Democrats, and any Democrat who thinks he is. He not only sued my former employer for reporting in multiple countries, he deposed me in Chicago. He flew his lawyers to Chicago to depose me for mean tweets. A 25-year-old with less than $10,000 in her bank account because he has such thin skin and he hates when his power is questioned in any way. He is not an ally to anyone but himself.
Well, how mean were they?
Huh?
I mean, pretty mean.
No.
I fundamentally, I hear you and I empathize to an extent, but I also disagree with you. And the reason I disagree with you is because one of the things Democrats have done over the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years is we have not practiced basic politics, which is that I believe politics is about addition and multiplication. And a lot of people believe politics is about division and subtraction. And while I don't agree with much of anything Elon Musk does, if Elon Musk is going to make sure that we keep 10 million people from getting kicked off of insurance, then I'm going to take him in this fight.
Wait, hold up.
Wait, I'm sorry.
You were saying that you as a Democrat
would take him in the fight to kill the big, beautiful bill?
The Elon Musk. No, I'm saying like if he coming back and said, Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, here's $500 million.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
I'll spend it for you. You're just saying in this particular
fight, yes. In this, I mean, we live in a time in politics of moments. I'm like, in this particular moment where we have a bad piece of legislation, am I going to take Elon Musk to help me kill this so that people keep insurance? The answer is hell yeah, and twice on Sundays.
But what about Elon Musk to spend money on behalf of Democrats in a midterm election? What about that?
Well, I'm worried. First of all, I'm worried about New Jersey and I'm worried about Virginia. So I'm very focused on 2025 before I get to 2026. Okay. And to your point, there are a lot of things about Elon Musk and that.
But would you take his money? Just answer.
No,
would you take his money?
I would not.
Would you advise a congressional candidate to take a contribution from Elon?
No.
I'm not taking money from a guy who does a Hitler salute. It's just that simple.
I think you're going to find Democrats that are more than willing to take that. But that's true. That's not the question. Was more than willing.
I ain't even gonna lie to you. Take that goddamn money. Take it. Like, I understand. We don't want to take money from people that are doing Nazi salutes. That is not what I'm trying. I'm not pushing for that. However, what I am pushing for is if he's giving you a $500 check, $500 million check for just to be spiteful, take it. And to add on to it, he's completely right, though. There's no need to be even focusing on 2026 when we still have 2025. Hold on, but before we start, y'all saw Scott Jennings' face? That shit was annoying as fuck. He was like, dude, your party is currently imploding. Don't worry about the Democrats' values. Y'all are the ones who have all of the Nazis and all of the right-wing white supremacists on your side. They're not voting for us. But I sure as hell will take their money. Why not? Pay me for my pain. You're going to be racist anyway.
The question was about me. And Elon Musk and I, we just have a very different view on the world. I mean, Elon Musk, for example, the way that he views apartheid South Africa, the way that he views white supremacy and patriarchy are just a totally different way that I view the world. So the question is, will I take his money? No. But if he's going to beat you guys in a submission over the big, beautiful bill and get you guys turned in pretzels, am I going to take his pressure on the site that he owns? Definitely.
I don't think you have to encourage that pressure. I think it's coming. Scott,
exactly.
Bottoms up.
I mean, so you think that Elon is poised to turn on Republicans?
I think it's too early to say, but what I do think is today the president looked at it as a win, right? $34 billion win against Elon Musk. If he continues to have those kinds of wins, it will be less interesting to hit back all the time. And we'll see how much continual poking of the bear we have from Elon Musk. I don't think it's going away anytime soon, but I think he's going to continue to rail on this bill. I don't think that's ever going to change. I don't think it changes hearts and minds in the Senate. I don't think it changes hearts and minds in the House.
They have to pass the bill. To me, the question is the next fight, which is, will the congressional Republican leadership, whenever they're finished with the president's agenda, immediately move on to the things that Elon actually cares about? I mean, he does have a deeply held view about the existential threat posed by the amount of debt that we have and the way we spend money. And so that's kind of what I'm interested in next. After they finish the president's agenda, is there an immediate movement by Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune to begin to address what he wants to do, which is drastically make changes?
I mean, that's presumptuous, though, Scott, because I do think that we talked about this a minute ago, kind of in quiet conversation, but I do believe that this is eerily reminiscent of 2017. And, Republicans don't legislate worth a damn, period. You just cannot. You just have never proved yourself to be able to legislate. 2017, you were coming in, everybody ran on repeal and replace Obamacare, right? Repeal and replace it. You couldn't repeal and replace it if you tried. That was the first piece of legislation that Donald Trump tried to pass. And we remember the epic John McCain thumbs down. So we've kind of been here before. We've seen it. We've seen these. Donald Trump, when he is done with being president of the United States, will never be remembered for being able to be a legislative, policy-driven president.
We did do the tax cuts in 2017.
Donald Trump is not going to be president in 3.5 years, which Elon pointed out today on social media. And it kind of came across a little bit like a threat. Trump has 3.5 years as president. I'll be around for 40 plus years. It is a warning to Republicans that
and that's exactly what it was. It was a warning to Republicans. But to touch on what Bakari was saying, yes. Republicans don't know how to legislate. Like, have you looked at the number of bills that have passed so far? They have passed nothing. They have the White House, they have the Senate, they have the House of Representatives. They have not passed any bill of significance. Nothing. Joe Biden got through the infrastructure bill. He got through the Inflation Reduction Act. He got through the climate change bill. He got through gun reform. Joe Biden got through so many major pieces of legislation, and he did most of this in his first 2 years when he had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They have not passed anything. And a lot of the bills that I listed just now, bipartisan. Republicans don't know how to legislate. They've had the House before. They've had the Senate before. They had the presidency before. Guess what they did? They tried to cut Obamacare. They could not even do that right. Why? Because guess what? They did not have a bill to replace it with. They don't know how to legislate. They just know how to make people upset and angry. They know how to talk to people's fears and hates. But they don't know how to feed and flourish a society. There's a reason why ever since the World War II, I believe, I might be wrong, but I know at least since the 21st century, no Republican president has been able to balance the budget. No Republican has been able to make more jobs than a Democrat has. Every Republican has had a recession in some fashion or form because they're too busy giving tax cuts. That's the only thing Republicans know how to do. They know how to give tax cuts to the wealthy. Because guess what? Those people, they're also wealthy. So of course you can get people to jump on that. They're trying to save money too. So of course they're going to pass tax cuts. But that is all they know how to do. They don't know how to actually help a society thrive. They don't. And this is exactly why they tied themselves to Elon Musk, because they needed the money to push a narrative to get working class people to vote against their self-interest. And Elon Musk is coming back to tell y'all, hey, you can follow Trump if you want to, but he only has 3.5 years left as a president. He's a lame duck, but he will be around for 40 plus years. He's the richest person in the world. And if you play around, he has a lot of F around money. He was giving money to Democrats way longer before he was giving money to Republicans. And like I told you, Democrats will accept that money. They will. And guess what? It aligns with what Elon Musk wants. If he wants EV credits, he'll get it. If he wants a country that has a thriving GDP that's getting people hired, that is helping small businesses thrive, that's having a stable market, that's Democrats. It has not been a Republican for the last 25 fucking years. No Republican has done that. Not one. Every single Republican president since 2000, and further than that, but I don't know exactly, so I'm going to say since 2000, has had a recession, has lost jobs. They don't know how to run a society. They don't know how to balance books. The last president that did that, a Democrat, Bill Clinton. But let's keep on watching, y'all.
He has, FU money. He really can do whatever he wants. And he can do it for as long as he wants, frankly.
Yeah, and he's starting to persuade. He's introducing like a thought enterprise, like just keep that in the back of your mind, guys.
Right, exactly.
Just keep thinking about that because I got some more stuff coming. And I'm going to try to persuade you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We have primaries coming up We have a 2026 election cycle coming up. I think President Trump is going to be way more important to folks in that cycle than Elon Musk is. So I think they're going to continue to hang in there.
Not if Elon Musk has $500 million. I mean,
But he can't run
I don't
it
know.
either. I mean, there's a balance.
I think just the money is an issue here. It really is.
Popularity among the base, just saw poll the other day in Pennsylvania.
Because he's Elon.
88%.
Elon has gained and lost
Trump.
more money than Donald Trump has seen in his
You're
entire
not going to knock
just
into
in the
that
last 6
88%
months.
among the base.
Just in the last 6 months.
I mean, he obviously has that kind of influence, monetary influence, and it could make a difference in an election. But don't undercount the influence of the president among Republican primary voters, his base. They are all enormously happy with him. He is the unquestioned leader of the party. And what he says still very much goes inside of the Republican Party tent. I believe that will include primaries next year.
Does it include people who lose their access to Medicaid or the ones that lose their SNAP
illegal
benefits?
aliens? They don't vote anyway, so I don't guess it'll matter to them.
Are you saying that only undocumented
I'm saying
people
we're going to make sure that no
11
undocumented
million
person gets
people
it.
are going to lose their health care?
We're going to make sure that illegal aliens and folks who won't get off grandma's couch and try to work are not going to scam the system, and we're going to preserve it for the people who need it.
The
That's what
able-bodied
we're
work
doing.
provisions, I think that's something.
Define
What
it.
if you get sick and you can't work?
Get to the point.
If you
here.
need it, you'll
Define
have
it.
The program will be
Define
In addition to that,
define it. Define able-bodied. Define it.
Get up
I love
and go to
that.
work, right?
No, but define it, because there is a working poor in this country. You do identify with that. There are people who work 40 hours or more in this country that cannot afford the basic necessities,
They'll have
including
Medicaid.
insurance.
They're going to have Medicaid.
But there's a gap in many places that don't expand Medicaid.
Okay, so you know who determines who gets Medicaid for the most part, right?
Yes, I was in the state. I was in the state legislature.
Right?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. I was there for a decade, 8 years. So for people fact checking,
Can't take anybody off the rolls, right? What this bill does is say states, you can take people off the rolls now.
Correct.
If they're ineligible. Right?
Okay.
So if they're ineligible, they're going to go off the roll.
How are they ineligible?
Okay,
So
I've said this many times at this table. You can't just say if they're ineligible. You have to also
define what you're talking
you also
about.
have to acknowledge. Hold on. You have to acknowledge that this bill makes more people ineligible. That's part of what the bill does.
If they don't meet work requirements.
If they don't meet work requirements.
Work requirements are such that people who are currently already working may not meet the requirements
Correct.
under this bill.
They're called
people who
the
are working
working
now
poor.
are going to, some of them, not meet the requirements
Why
under this
wouldn't
bill.
they meet it? Why wouldn't they meet it?
Okay, look, I've given this example many times. I'll give it again. The bill has a provision that says that if you have a child who is older than the age of 7, you have to meet a higher work requirement level. So if you're a mom, a single mom, and you're the only person taking care of a child, and you have a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old, the bill says you have to work a lot more. Some people are not going to be able to do that. They may lose their Medicaid. So the bill has provisions in there that create gaps for people. But look, you can defend that.
No,
I'm just saying, be honest about it. That's all I'm saying.
That's where I think
you
the
can't
Senate.
just.
And I'm glad that somebody finally broke that down for them. I don't think, and it's because it's men that are trying to legislate certain stuff. You see, there's 4 men on here and 2 women. It took the woman having to explain, which Bakari Sellers, he did try his best to get a good explanation out, but that is the best way to explain it. If you have a child, you're not able to work if you're a single parent. Because guess what? If you're working 40 hours and you're part of that working poor, you're making less than $50,000, you're going to give your paycheck just to get childcare. Childcare a week is like $300, $400 if you get a deal. $300, $400 if you get a deal, and you probably don't have full-time childcare. It's probably about 4 to 3 days a week, maybe even half days. What single mother can you know who can afford that? If you put that into a week, you have a 4-month week. That is what? $1,200, $1,600 just in childcare alone. And that's if you have 1 child. Imagine if you have 2, 3, 4 child. And remember, this is the Republican Party who's against abortion. So they're forcing women to have children. They don't want to give them health care. They don't want to give them food stamps. They're not giving living assistance. They're trying to take away all the other programs that help make a child flourish. They want to take all that away. And then they also, on top of that, want to tell you, hey, can you mind working? Do you mind working 40 hours a week with your 7-year-old? Where's the 7-year-old going? That's the question. Where is the 7-year-old going? And Scott Jennings, he's too busy. Oh, the person that's going to be illegals, the ones that are sitting on grandma's couch. Who the fuck's sitting on your grandma's couch? Who's doing that? Mind you, this is the same time Donald Trump is doing all these tariffs, messing with the economy. And just last week, it was reported that 250,000 new insurance claims just last week. 250,000 claims. That is the highest point since, I believe, 2022, around the end of the year. So you're making it where people getting laid off or getting fired from jobs, and you're taking away their health insurance, and you're taking away their food assistance, and you're going to just try and gaslight them and say, oh no, it's only illegals, it's only illegals. No, this is going to be, like I tell you, children, their mothers, pregnant women, disabled, or elderly. Everybody's going to feel this. And they're too busy worried about his base. What about independents? What about Democrats? There's a good swath of Republicans that don't even go with his immigration policies, which is something he was the strongest on. They're already squinting at his economic policies. Like, I don't understand why Republicans just won't face the facts that Donald Trump, polling-wise, is barely above water. And that is with Republican-leaning polls. If you're looking at the golden standard polls, he's underwater. He's negative approval rating. But okay, let's keep on going, y'all.
It's like, if you're ineligible, if you're lazy, if you're cheating, it's not those people.
It is, but it is.
It's not just
that's the literal target. It is the literal target.
It's not target. Everyone deserves health care.
Even illegals?
Every single person in the world deserves
Just for the record, as a candidate, you're for illegal aliens getting Medicaid.
I think everyone in the world deserves
That's a yes. That's a yes.
I mean,
That's a Democratic position.
It is a yes, but
yeah,
it's a Democratic position. Illegal aliens should get Medicaid.
But I mean, how is it controversial?
How is it controversial?
How is it controversial to think I don't want someone to die in the hospital because they can't afford it?
Who do you think pays for health care when undocumented people show up at a hospital? Who pays for that?
We all pay for it.
Exactly.
Including undocumented people because they actually contribute.
That's the point. That's the point.
We do realize that undocumented people
who pays for the welfare system in this country generally?
I want to remind you
Taxpayers.
and perhaps everyone else that there's no free lunch here, okay? You either
for the illegals?
You either have a program.
No, but they contribute.
Hold on. There's a reason that some states have decided to do this. You either have a program that rationalizes those costs, or you just throw the cost onto taxpayers by default. And so people who have insurance end up paying a lot more because they're subsidizing people who don't.
Can I make a different argument, though? Can I make one different argument just so we can kind of level set? Like, for example, if you actually go through with this and the number of people on Medicaid decreases, what happens in rural places like Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, where I'm from, that means that hospitals are more likely to close down. Healthcare providers are more likely to shutter. What happens when a hospital closes in a poor rural community? Well, one second. Do you know what happens when that happens? That means the pharmacy closes down. That means the little motel closes down. That means the florist closes down. The restaurant. It destroys your entire economy around it.
So by definition,
so many hospitals closed since Dobbs because they're afraid of the liabilities.
According to your logic train, we need to let more illegal aliens into the country, give them more health care to keep all the hospitals
Let me tell you what I'm saying.
Are you for it or not?
Can I start my logic train with you?
Are you for it or not?
My logic train starts with the fact that I don't want to kick 11 million people off
Do you
of
want
Medicaid.
the illegal aliens on or not?
First of all, do I want undocumented citizens to have health care? Yes. The answer is yes.
I don't know why, but Scott Jennings, he gets on my nerves so bad. He's sitting there saying, like, he keeps bringing it back to immigrants when it's not even about undocumented immigrants. We're talking about American citizens. We're talking about American mothers, American children, American elderly folks. There's not 11 million immigrants in this fucking country. There's not 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. The people that are going to be hit the hardest are going to be Republican red states that can't afford to subsidize what the federal government puts in for Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. And this goes back to what Bakari was saying before. Republicans don't know how to legislate. They are unable to legislate because all he can do is try and get something to make you be like, oh, well, I don't want immigrants to get this. Oh, but I don't want immigrants to get that, without actually having a substantive conversation. The only point he can make is immigrant. That is his only point. But let's keep on listening, y'all.
Scott,
Okay.
if someone is
More
undocumented,
Democrats.
do you want them to not get insulin if they're diabetic?
I want Medicaid to exist first and foremost for American citizens who need it. That is what I
what about
want.
second? I mean, first and foremost, of course. But
I want the program to exist and be solvent for the people who need it.
Do you realize that when people show up at your hospital, that we actually pay for that? Do you understand that when people get sick,
I know
or when
how it works.
how about this? How about this? When the people that are picking your peaches. Yeah, I'm passionate about
Very
Americans.
passionate for the illegals.
Bakari,
No, I'm passionate for Americans.
How dare you want people to be alive? How dare you?
Passionate for the illegals. Bring more.
No, I actually want safe and secure borders.
You need more. To make your vision of America work, we need more illegals who get more benefits. That's your version of America.
No, what I want from America is a place that was promised to us, Scott.
To the illegals?
Like you do. No, it was promised to us. It was promised to us,
who?
not us, me and you, black and white, brown. Scott, do you think that your family was
You were
born
born
here?
here.
You weren't born here, Scott.
I was born in
First of all, where does your family come from? My family wasn't born here. My family was actually from Sierra Leone.
You're making a passionate argument
correct
for a
about
country
what our country's
built on unfettered illegal immigration, and that is not anywhere near a politically popular position.
Our country is built on immigration, period.
What kind?
Period.
What kind?
Okay. Oh, and first of all, before we go to commercial, what kind? What kind of immigration was I brought here?
You're already in the hole. You sure you don't want to stop digging?
No, because it was slavery. That's not immigration.
Come on.
Well, okay.
Come on, what?
All right, there's a lot to be said. Hold on.
No. But you just can't say "come on" when somebody's like, "My family was brought here in chains." The answer is not "come on."
We're gonna leave it there. But like, come on. That is the most white privileged thing I've ever heard in my life. Come on. My family was brought here via immigration. That was slavery. Come on. Are you serious? See, Bakari is so much better than me because I could never. I would lose my mind because it's like, how could you say that so casually? Come on. The only people native to this land are Native Americans. Not you, Scott. Not with that skin color. No. And it wasn't us African Americans that were shipped here against our will. But y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments. It's just, I thought this was a really good segment. I thought it highlighted and it showed all the issues wrong with the current iteration of the Republican Party right now. They're a mess. It's chaos, is the inability to legislate, is the inability to have a sensitive conversation, and it's just them pushing bigotry, it's them pushing hate, and like they do it so casually. They do it with so much they do it with no care. But y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you were here for a couple seconds, I appreciate you for just checking me out. If you were here for the entire freaking thing, I love you. You're freaking amazing. Please subscribe. It grows the channel. Just if you don't want to subscribe, like. It's free. It's easy. It's simple. And I hope I'll see you on the next one. If you enjoy this type of content from me, like this reaction, please let me know. I'll do more of them. And like I said, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.